Immortal Demon of Konoha, the ninja who broke all rules. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 91 Female Ninjas in Prison, a brand new collection. Although it is not necessary to really defeat the enemies of these two sides. But you can't really let the opposite side hit the wooden leaves. Therefore, while Konoha's main forces were in full swing in the Land of Thunder and the village of Yunin, Aoji himself led the Tsunade and the Red Lotus that had been subdued, as well as the ancestor Naruto reborn from the dirt, to deal a heavy blow to the attack of Iwakuma village on the western front. And personally captured the granddaughter of the contemporary Earth Shadow. The Black Earth, known as the Leg Shadow. Even if you catch me, it's useless. Black Earth behaved very stubbornly. Our Yunin village will never give in, and my grandfather will not be blackmailed by you. These legs are really good. Aoji ignored Kuroto's words and just nodded with satisfaction. In my harem, there are many people who are far superior to you in other aspects, but only these two legs are really few people who can compare. As for whether you give in or don't give in, I don't care at all. Aoji smiled contemptuously. When I captured Samui on the eastern front a few days ago, she was much more stubborn than you, but what's the point? Finally, didn't you get down on your knees and beg me? Black Earth gritted his teeth and did not answer. Some time ago, when Samui went to Iwakuma village, she had a brief face-to-face with the other party, and although she did not say a few words, she had a deep impression of the woman. She could clearly feel that it was a rational, mature, and very strong woman. It is absolutely impossible to give in a short time. So, he must be lying. However, when Kuroto is captured by Aoji and returned to the underground prison in Kiba, everything she sees in front of her is almost shattered. The host. Samui wore a delicate collar around his neck and crawled very obediently at Aoji's feet. Really good. Aoji rubbed Samui's head with satisfaction, then turned his head and smiled at Kuroto. See? This is your future. At this time, the Black Earth was too shocked to speak. A great horror enveloped her heart. What kind of means does this man have? Can he really resist his domestication? She had become unconfident about this. Today you will live with Samui, tomorrow I will come to see you. By the way, to take all your first time, it may be a little painful at that time. I hope you can be mentally prepared. Aoji smiled and turned away. It was left only with the fear and despair of the Black Earth. After leaving Samui's confinement room, Aoji went to take care of the three Temari again, and after enjoying their delicacy for a while, he used his divine power to distort space and went directly from the dungeon to another place. Yunin village, Lei Ying's assistant office. At this time, Ma Baiyu was anxiously processing various reports. Now the situation is getting worse. Although Iwakuma finally had practical action, their offensive on the western front was severely frustrated, and did not force Konoha's troops to split into two routes. Rebirth of the Dirt, what a foul ninjutsu. Mabuyi already knew the key to Kiba's superiority, and today's Naruto used the forbidden art invented by the second generation to make Kiba have several more shadow-level masters out of thin air, which can make Iwakuma village unable to lift his head. Even Taing's granddaughter was taken away by Konoha. God knows what will be treated. The situation on the eastern front was also very critical, and even Samui, the commander-in-chief of the front line, was captured by Naruto, who launched a surprise attack, which greatly damaged the overall morale of Yunin village. Lei Ying, who was already impatient, could not sit still and proposed several times to personally go to the front line to fight. But he was strongly dissuaded by Mabuyi. Because the Konoha side had mastered the powerful time-space ninjutsu, this was a fact that had already been confirmed, and once there was no such strong person as Lei Ying inside the Yunin village, it was only afraid that the encounter of the Shine village would be replicated in the Yunin village. But if we let things continue to develop, I am afraid that the balance of war will really turn to the wooden leaves. Hey, what's the other way to break the game? Mabuyi rubbed his forehead in pain, worried about Samui's safety and worried about the situation that was now a rotten situation. At the same time that she was struggling to think about the way to break the game. With a twist of space, Aoji's figure appeared behind her. You look like you're embarrassed? Aoji patted Abuyi's shoulder, or let me help you get rid of it? Mabuyi instantly bounced up like a rabbit hit by an arrow. The backhand is a bitter shot. But such an attack had no effect on Aoji. He just used his pupil power to transform except for Susanu's two arms. One hand blocked the attack, and the other hand firmly grasped Azabui. You're the one who knows the art of time and space? After Mabuyi was controlled by the action, she quickly instinctively regained her composure, and she did not try to shout for help, because she knew that in the current situation, if she had any changes, the other party could completely pinch herself to death at the first time. At present, we can only talk nonsense to delay time, maybe we can find a better countermeasure. Yes. Aoji smiled and nodded, I am the 5th generation of Naruto today. It's been a long time to look up to the daimyo. Mabai revealed a bitter smile, if you can eliminate the sand ninja in a short period of time, and force our Yunin village to this extent, you are probably the most terrifying Naruto after the 1st generation, are you hungry? I'm still a little curious, though. Using space-time ninjutsu to perform a decapitation operation is certainly a good idea, but why would you target me? I'm just a little assistant of Lei Ying, and I don't have any impact on the overall situation. If you want to assassinate important people, I can give you a few names. Mabui pretended to be greedy for life and afraid of death, and tried to lead Aoji into a trap of siege. As long as you are willing to spare my life, I will tell you their location, and other important information. No, I'm not interested in those things. Aoji smiled and shook his head, it's good that this war is in its current state, and it is not good for me for Kiba to win too quickly. What do you mean by that? Mabui was puzzled. You don't have to know. Even at the final moment of the plan's imminent success, Aoji did not reveal what he had in mind, but showed a flirtatious smile, you only need to know one thing, that is, you are about to become one of my collections. Episode 92 The Other Heavenly Gods in the Blood Moon, People Who Are Fully Controlled. Collectibles? Do you treat women as collectibles? Yes. Aoji said very gently, some people like wine, some people like stamps, and I like to collect women, isn't that surprising? I do deserve to thank you, though. There are various types in my collection, but the fly in the ointment is that there is no black skin that can be handed. Aoji said with some emotion, although Karui, who was arrested with Samui a few days ago, can also meet this condition, her grade is really not good, and I am tired of using it once. Looking at the entire ninja world, Miss Mabui, you are the model of black skin in my mind. You are shameless. In the face of such a harsh speech by Aoji, Azabui's chest heaved with anger. You shouldn't have scolded me. Aoji smiled a little, just as I should thank you for enriching my collection, you should also thank me for coming to ensure your safety, otherwise you may die in the next disaster. Disaster? What calamity? Mabui's face immediately changed. Listen. Aoji raised his index finger to his lips, listen to the sounds outside. Mabui listened in a hurry, and sure enough, she heard a continuous explosion in the distance, and it seemed that there were extremely powerful masters fighting, and the distance was getting closer and closer. What the hell is going on here? Mabui's face was filled with panic. You'll know later. Aoji walked leisurely to Azabui's body, and then unleashed his divine power to bring her back to Kiba. At the same time, the fighting outside Yunin village continued. The person who shot it was none other than Six Pains. The elite of Yunin village have successively thrown themselves into the war with Konoha, and there is no particularly jealous master in the village except for Lei Ying, who sits in the base camp. Pain even dared to trespass on his own. Yunin village is even more important. But the center of this battle was not inside Yunin village, but on a large river outside Yunin village. Because the 8-tailed pillar Richie Rabbi was there. Kairabi, who can completely control the 8 tails, is extraordinary, but he is not enough in front of pain, especially if he has no understanding of the reincarnation eye, and there is nothing he can do with pain. This short but fierce battle was soon declared over. Although Yunin village quickly sensed the battle here and sent reinforcements very quickly, these things were already useless, and when Lei Ying personally came to the battlefield, all he saw was a mess. The outer path golem successfully absorbed the power of Yatsuo. All that remained were the 9 tails. Naruto was now completely handy for Aoji, and he caught Naruto with almost no effort, and then completed the revival of the outer path golem with the other members of the Shao organization. 10 Tails is officially resurrected. From this moment on, Aoji and Nagato went to oppose. Of course, this point had long been expected by both sides, and they were ready to break up, but in the end, it was Aoji who was still a high player. Because he successfully co-opted Kuro, he secretly calculated Nagato's body at a critical moment. Aoji became the final winner. But in Kuroji's point of view, he also thinks that he is the winner, because he mistakenly thinks that he has wooed Aoji, and mistakenly thinks that he will perform the plan of infinite monthly reading. For Kuroji, although the knife operator changed from taking the soil to Aoji, the result will still not change. Such a judgment is, of course, sloppy. But Kuroji had been waiting in the darkness for too long, and seeing that it was time for the harvest, the eagerness made him lose his due calm, and he was blinded by the illusion deliberately created by Aoji. Then, Aoji, who successfully turned on the power of the divine tree, projected his pupil power onto the moon. But what he released was not a monthly read. It's some other god. At this time, Kuroji realized that Aoji was still hiding such a pupil technique, but it was already too late. In fact, although the other gods are incomparably powerful, they may not be able to play a role in the face of people who also have eternal kaleidoscopes, or people who ride the wheel of reincarnation, but in front of Aoji today, there is no such obstacle. He successfully manipulated everyone in the world, including Black Jedi. Under the reflection of that blood moon, all men became faithful slaves controlled by his pupils. Of course, he didn't just erase everyone's personality. Because that's so boring. If everyone is sluggish like The Walking Dead, even if you can get a lot of fun at the beginning, it will definitely be boring after a long time. What Aoji wants is a permanent paradise. So Aoji didn't directly modify the minds and memories of the people, but only added some settings to their subconscious, so that they could never raise the slightest hostility towards Aoji. They could never resist any orders given by Aoji. Other than that, they will still follow the normal life trajectory, growing, working, marrying, having children, and they don't even realize that they have been completely dominated by Aoji. The blood moon in the sky also became normal in their eyes. It was as if the moon was supposed to be like that. That's it for now. Standing under the blood moon, Aoji looked at the world beneath his feet contentedly. He had already determined the basic rules of the entire world, and if there was any need in the future, he could always add more detailed settings. Anyway, for him, it wouldn't be long before he could cast the other gods again. He can reshape the minds of people all over the world repeatedly. However, before the final revelry began, it was necessary to solve the troubles of the Atsuki clan, and for this he mobilized almost the power of the whole world and completed several great things in an orderly manner. First, he found and completely destroyed the remains of Uchiha. Secondly, the experts including the Great Snake Maru studied a more perfect dirt rebirth, and then summoned all the deceased masters of the ninja world to further practice various forbidden arts to strengthen their strength. Then, he used the research of the Great Snake Pill to obtain an enhanced version of the immortal body. Also almost immortalized. Although you can feel that your life still has an end, with the help of Oxlife science, you can already greatly extend your lifespan. Aoji is very satisfied with this result. Because as long as he has the resources of the whole world as an input, he believes that the top team led by the Great Snake Maru will be able to break through the limit sooner or later and let him get the true sense of eternal life that he dreams of. Just when all the time was ripe, Aoji lifted the seal of the Great Barrel of Kiki Katsuki through the power of the Black Jedi and the ninja realm. Although it turned out that the other gods had no obvious effect on this woman, before the newly awakened Hui could figure out the situation, he was stabbed in the back by his incomparably trusted Black Jedi, and then helplessly became a prisoner creeping at the feet of Aoji in front of Aoji and the peak masters of the ninja world. After a long period of brainwashing and manipulation by various means, Hui has gradually become a meat tool and lackey of Aoji. After the germ of the shell tissue has been eliminated, the world of Aoji has finally become perfect. Episode 93, The Day of Becoming a God, an episode that belongs to the new world. At the age of 28, Feng Matsuri Meng Huang had already bathed clean, and stood in front of the golden and splendid palace gate with trepidation. The palace in front of him belonged to the residents of Aoji. Today's ninja world still has different ninja villages. Konoha Hidden Village, Yunin Village, Iwakuma Village, Kirasame Village, are still active in this world, and even the demised Shain Village has been revived again. But the ninja world has long since abandoned the meaningless strife between them. It is now a state of peace. The five great powers of the secular world have also not died, and now they have also achieved peaceful coexistence, but all the daimyo have been changed to the system of eldest daughter succession. And every female daimyo and her heir on the neck both have a delicate collar. Today, the daimyo of the Fire Kingdom has taken over the throne from her mother, and she has just turned 15 years old, and although she has a special blood background, she inevitably wears a collar around her neck. Every month, she would go to Aoji's palace for a special visit. The same is true of other female daimyos. The people of all countries take it for granted that the head of a country should see Aoji, because it was Aoji who brought peace and brought prosperity to the whole world 15 years ago. Today he is revered as a living deity. As a god of faith in the whole world, his homeland is of course unprecedentedly large, occupying the scope of almost an entire country, and in the midst of incomparably tall walls and boundaries, it is a magnificent beauty created by the world's skilled craftsmen. Of course, only very beautiful women can be eligible to stay here. Every country in the world carefully examines the women who have a good appearance in its citizens, and then sends them to the private country of Seiji for enjoyment, and if they can be selected, it will be a great honor for the person concerned and his family. In the cognition of people in today's world, there is nothing more glorious and proud than serving the gods and adults. Therefore, every woman who is selected is incredibly excited. Of course, even if there are some deficiencies and women who have not been chosen, there is still a possibility of serving the gods. Because Aoji would occasionally leave his own country, go out and walk, come out to sea, so that these mortal people had the opportunity to see him closely, and people also found that this god was very approachable. Even a woman who is not very outstanding, who has been married, still has a chance to get his care and pity. Although it is difficult to obtain the qualification to enter the kingdom of the gods. But the experience of being sidetracked by the gods is enough to become the best memory of a lifetime, and even husbands are honored. Of course, in comparison, the women who were elected to the kingdom of the gods were the most decent, especially the women who were personally named by the gods Jinko Yuyen. When he grows up, the Wind Festival Meng Huang belongs to this category. Therefore, the whole family happily sent him out of the gate of Konoha, and including Kiba Maru and Udon of Aom Takema, who also came to send her. Udon has actually been secretly in love with her, but he hasn't had time to confess. But he was still sincerely happy for Meng Huang. Because he could get the personal name of the god, this was already the most perfect life that a woman could think of, and he asked himself if he could provide such happiness for Meng Huang. Therefore, he was very willing to send blessings to the distant Meng Huang. When Meng Huang, who had been riding all the way, arrived in the country of Aoji, he soon met Xiaonan, who was in charge of naturalization, under the leadership of the guide. Xiaonan's face today is still the same as it was 15 years ago. And that's inevitable. All women who enter the kingdom of the gods need to work hard to practice the secret art of maintaining youth. After all, although they are not qualified to share the taste of eternal life with Aoji, at least they must ensure that before their life reaches the end, they will not be overwhelmed by old age and decay, which is simply a great disrespect to the gods. Meng Huang knew that he would not be an exception. Is it today's newcomer again? After seeing the newcomer Meng Huang, Xiaonan casually opened the roster in his hand. Oh? Named by Lord Aoji himself? It seems that you have a lot of potential. However, we still have to be careful in our words and deeds. Meng Huang nodded seriously. Put on the collar. Xiaonan took out a collar from the shelf next to him and handed it to Meng Huang's hand. As the object of the designation, you are entitled to meet the gods directly, please be mentally prepared. Meng Huang quickly agreed. Then, with excitement, I put on the collar that symbolized the dreams of countless women who were favored by the gods. After that, a woman named Hua Ling appeared in front of the temple, with a graceful posture and a mature and gentle beauty, and after looking at Meng Huang, she smiled and said, "Please come with me." Meng Huang quickly followed her through the tall and magnificent corridors. Came to a palace in the depths. At this time Aoji had just woken up, and after kissing Fumiko Shizuka on the bed, he came barefoot to the main hall covered with soft blankets. At this time, he already had some boredom. With the combat power of the entire ninja realm that had been strengthened, and with the dead strong people who had been reborn from the dirt who had been practicing day and night to become stronger, the threat of the Atsuki clan had been eliminated. Now he has no enemies at all, and his daily life is only enjoyment. Enjoying the food, enjoying the beautiful women, such days are incomparably wonderful, but after repeating them year after year, they become more and more tedious, and he even begins to miss the original struggle time often. At this moment, Meng Huang, who had grown up, appeared obediently in front of his eyes. A new toy. The arrival of Meng Huang finally made Aoji a little more fun, but this fun was so meager that he quickly left the other party behind. Little by little, the time came hundreds of years later. A beautiful woman filled the glass in front of Aoji and then gently handed the mellow wine to his lips. Aoji vaguely remembers that this woman is a descendant of the wooden people. He couldn't remember exactly. Over the years, he had enjoyed all the wonders of the world and had broken through the moral lower limit countless times, but everything was most exciting only when he tried it for the first time, and after repeating it, he was only bored. Well, it's almost time to start. Lying high in his own bedroom, Dun Tong once again played the Eternal Kaleidoscope. After so many years of development, he had already developed Shinwei's power to the limit. Now he can travel through space and time on his own, whether it is the node when the first generation of Naruto built the wooden leaves, or the Hirohito period when Naruto became Naruto, he can use his pupil power to travel freely. Moreover, the time and space traveled belong to parallel worlds and do not interfere with the subject world ruled by him. So it's time to have some more fun for yourself for Episode 94 Uchiha and Senju, shocking everyone's domineering appearance. In the midst of a vast mountain range, a strange twist suddenly occurred in space. Aoshi's figure came out of nowhere. He stood at the top of the hill and looked out over the ongoing war at the foot of the mountain. The two sides of the battle are Uchiha and Senju. The time of Aoji's election was when the ninja village was not yet born, and the ninja world at this time was still working as a unit of ninjas, selling their lives for money and materials for the rich and powerful. It was a very chaotic time. Aoji came here just to pass the time, such as participating in and changing certain historical events, gathering some beautiful women who were active in this period, and not worrying about affecting his future self. Because Shinwei travels not only through time, but also through space. The world in front of you and the world of origin are in parallel with each other, and even if all human beings perished in an instant, it will not affect Aoji's life in the world of beginnings. And he himself can leave this world at any time. Of course, that would only happen after he was bored, and at least for now, Aoji believed he could still find some fun. He fixed his gaze on the battlefield beneath his feet. At this time, the battle situation had become more and more intense, and on the devastated battlefield, the corpses of the warring sides lay horizontally and vertically. But it was vaguely visible that the Uchiha clan was at a disadvantage. With the overall strength of the Uchiha clan, of course, it is possible to laugh at the entire ninja world, but unfortunately, both Yu and Liang were born, and a thousand-handed clan came out, and almost every confrontation stabilized Uchiha's head. Most of the battles will end in the defeat of the Uchiha clan. But that was before Aoji appeared. At this time, he had found a small beautiful woman in the battle, long purple hair, a calm face, although not very old, but the battle was clean and neat, and it would not drag the mud and water at all. This little beauty is the one who will develop as Onami Uchiha Yuri in the future. Of course, now she was just an ordinary member of Uchiha's clan, and she had neither become a member of the Konoha garrison nor succeeded in awakening the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. Both of her eyes are the riding wheel eyes of Sangoyo. Therefore, with the overall unfavorable battle situation of the Uchiha clan, she also fell into a bitter battle more and more, and the companions around her fell one by one, but the enemies she faced became more and more one by one. Her chakra has also gradually bottomed out. Is it here today? After spelling out the last chakra and releasing a powerful fireball, Uchiha Yuri was ready to die in battle, and then a loud bang. A huge samurai shadow descended from the sky, and while stepping on a huge crack in the ground, it blocked a large piece of Shuri's shuriken that shot at Shiryu, and swept away more than a dozen ninjas of the Thousand Hands clan with a single hand. This is... Almost everyone present was stunned. The complete body of Susanoo. Whether it is Uchiha's people or the Thousand Hands that have been fighting with Uchiha for many years, they all know that this is a trick that only the holder of the kaleidoscope can use, and the offensive and defensive abilities are almost invincible. Today's Uchiha, only two people have opened a kaleidoscope. One is Uchiha Ban, who is the patriarch. One is the patriarch's younger brother, Senna. But these two men are now fighting with the two brothers between the pillars and the two brothers. Exclude these two people. When did Uchiha have a third kaleidoscope? Both sides of the war understand the meaning of the kaleidoscope, and as long as they have such eyes, they can profoundly rewrite the situation of a war, and now the balance of power on the battlefield has been completely reversed. Who the hell is that? Who opened the kaleidoscope? Everyone was very concerned about this issue, and they looked at the young man standing in Susanoo. To be precise, it was a teenager. Red lips and white teeth, handsome face, looking about 15 or 16 years old, there is a calm charm in the look. This teenager is none other than Aoji. At this time, he had basically obtained eternal life, and he had obtained the secret art from the Tsunade hand, and he could maintain his appearance at will, and he could be 15 forever if he wanted to. The person who saw the manipulator of Susanoo was such a young teenager. The hearts of the people of the Thousand Hands clan are very heavy. At this time, people did not know that the end of the kaleidoscope was blindness, and subconsciously believed that with the ability of the kaleidoscope, this young man definitely had the capital to cross the battlefield for more than 10 years. This is undoubtedly a disaster for the Thousand Hands clan. Although the Pillar and Hatsuma brothers are both fierce men who can suppress the kaleidoscope of Ban and Senna, the Thousand Hands clan really can't come up with a third master of the same level, and from the perspective of combat strength, there is no chance of victory. The war is over. Faced with a Senju clan full of fear, Saisa said calmly, "You still consciously retreat. I don't want to create meaningless killing." Those Thousand Hands people suddenly looked at each other. After gritting your teeth, They gave up the battle very tacitly and began to withdraw from the battlefield without a word. There were some Uchiha people who wanted to pursue. Don't chase it. Aoji's expression was still indifferent. There are still enough dead people, so let's stop it. His words worked. Those who wanted to pursue subconsciously stopped, although they had no impression of Aoji's kind. Ninjas would habitually obey the strong, and Aoji was absolutely qualified to be obeyed. A scorching battle turned into smoke between Aoji's words. But this caused Uchiha Band to be strongly dissatisfied. Why don't you hunt them down? After discovering the dramatic changes in the situation on the main battlefield, the Pillar brothers also ended their struggle with Ban and Senna, and disappeared to the edge of the battlefield with the retreating clansmen, a result that Ban felt difficult to accept. As long as you don't let those 1,000 hands go, we can win this battle, completely. After Uchiha came to the main battlefield, he looked at Aoji with a bad face. Of course, it is good that you can awaken the kaleidoscope, but now that Senju knows this fact, the next time it may be a targeted arrangement. I just don't think there's any need to continue this kind of fighting. Aoji said lightly. Senju and Uchiha, why are you fighting endlessly? Obviously, they are all the strongest ninjas in the ninja world, so why should they desperately let other ninjas reap the benefits of the fishermen? Blood and death cannot bring happiness, and such Uchiha has no future. I think there should be peace talks with Sentei. Aoji sighed leisurely. I think that both Uchiha and Senju should be tired of the endless fighting, so why can't we move towards peace as soon as possible? His words deeply touched the hearts of the Uchiha people present. Uchiha Yuri's eyes are even more colorful. Episode 95 for Tap Battle, the battle for the position of Patriarch. Indeed, Uchiha and Senju had been fighting for too long, and the clans on both sides were deeply tired of it. The main driving force behind the war between the two sides now is hatred. It is the hatred accumulated by the continuous sacrifice of relatives and companions. If the other party can be completely exterminated, both Senju and Uchiha are willing to cut the grass and remove the roots, but unfortunately, neither side can completely eliminate the overwhelming advantage of the other party. Once the war becomes long and there is no end in sight, the will to fight will gradually disappear. Peace will become a demand in the heart. It's just that in the face of Uchiha Ban, who is bent on war, no one dares to say such a rebellious word. Do you know what you're talking about? Ban looked at Aoji coldly. Do you know how many Uchiha died at the hands of Senju? Of course I know. Aoji said very calmly, my parents were killed by the Senju clan, so I can open the kaleidoscope to write the wheel I. Then why do you say such weak words? Although he felt very angry with Aoji, Ban certainly did not know all the clansmen, and after seeing the genuine writing wheel eyes, he did not doubt whether the origin of Aoji was suspicious. Don't you want to avenge your parents? Of course I want to, but the vortex of hatred only creates new hatred. Aoji Dayoshi said awe-inspiringly, if we can draw a halt to this war, if we can let the children grow up in a safe environment, if we can make the tragedy of the killing of our loved ones not repeat itself, then I want to be the first to let go of hate. You. A wave of anger welled up in Ban's eyes, and he subconsciously clenched his fists. Patriarch. At this time, Yuri was deeply touched by Aoji's words, and after gazing at him with admiration, she also came over and stood by Aoji's side. Actually, I also think that peace is more precious than war. Huh? Ban turned his head to look at Jili, seeing that she looked confused, obviously after a bitter battle, and her stiff face finally slowed down. You don't understand at all. Wang Hand and Uchiha can't be treated peacefully. We ninjas survive by accepting employment, and once someone hires 1,000 hands, then the enemy will definitely hire Uchiha. Because only we can compete with them. Ban said solemnly, unless we take the initiative to refuse to accept the tasks related to Senju, we will definitely clash with them, but if we do that, it will only make Uchiha lose face, and no one is willing to hire. Then why can't we join forces with the 1,000 hands? Aoji said calmly, why do you have to use the ninja clan as a unit, not the alliance as a unit? With the strength of Senju and Uchiha, they could completely sweep through the entire ninja world, right? Alliance? Alliance with the 1,000 hands? Ban's face sank again. Although there is also such a wish between the pillars, can our people accept it? Is it acceptable to the people of the 1,000 hands? Don't think that if you let go of your hatred, others will be just like you. Uchiha and Senju must fall down, and that's the only way to break the grudge. That's my conclusion. Spotted Cold Tunnel. Your conclusion doesn't matter. Aoji said unflinchingly, as the patriarch of our Uchiha clan, you shoulder the future of the entire family, but you only act according to your own love and hatred and anger. Are you so worthy of our people? What do you mean by that? Bane's face was horribly gloomy. I'm going to impeach you. Aoji smiled coldly. I don't think you are suitable to be our patriarch at all. As soon as this statement came out, the whole audience was shocked. Although most of the Uchiha people present agreed with Aoji's proposition in their hearts, they really did not expect him to be so bold as to dare to try to overthrow Ban's patriarch. You must know that he is the strongest in the whole family. A figure standing on top of a peak. When you open a kaleidoscope, do you think you are invincible in the world? This arrogance really needs to be beaten. Senna had also arrived at the main battlefield, and with a cold look on her face, she opened her kaleidoscope. Let me be your opponent. No, I'll do it myself. Ban coldly stopped Senna and turned his head to look at Aoji. Since we each have our own opinions, as ninjas, let's use force to confirm the result. We fight alone. If you win, the position of patriarch will be ceded to you. The Uchiha people present were in an immediate uproar. In a matter of words, the position of patriarch was taken as a bet. But after the initial surprise, the crowd was relieved. With Uchiha's arrogance and self-confidence, it is normal to make such a decision. But if you lose 11. Ban coldly looked at Aoji. As a precious talent, I will still cultivate you and reuse you, but you must abandon your foolish thoughts and kneel on the ground to apologize for your disrespect. As soon as these words came out, Shiri suddenly looked at Aoji with some concern. He had already made her feel deeply favorable. She agreed with his idea of cherishing peace, admired his goodness in letting go of hatred, and revered his and the patriarch's hard steel integrity, so she unconsciously put herself in his position, fearing that he would not be able to bear the humiliation after defeat. But she was really worried. One word is enough. Aoji opened his Eternal Kaleidoscope again, and a fully formed Susanoo appeared on the surface of his body. The winner is the patriarch, and the loser is the eagle dog. As you wish. Bane also opened the kaleidoscope, and a huge Susanuhii rose from the surface of the body. The battle is on. In order to avoid affecting the other clansmen, the battle between the two was far away from the main battlefield. The people present could only look at it from a distance, saw the smoke rising up, heard the sound of violent explosions, and witnessed the clash between the two godlike Susanoo and the shaking mountains. That boy is really powerful. He can fight with the patriarch to this point. It looks like the future is really promising. Such a great genius? How come it hasn't been famous before? Is he too low-key? Don't talk about this. How long do you think he can hold on? There should be a fight. But no matter what, it is still impossible to defeat the clan elders. Yeah, it's a pity. Personally, everyone agrees more with Aoji's proposition and emotionally wishes he could win, but reason tells them that even if Aoji has a kaleidoscope, he can't be Bane's opponent. Because the spots are so powerful. Absolute Ninja Second Man. Episode 96, The Strongest Ninja Clan Joins Hands, High Wind and Bright Festival. However, what everyone did not expect was that the winner of this battle was Aoji. Me, I lost. After a fierce confrontation, Ban had exhausted chakra and could not even maintain the state of the riding wheel eye, at which point he had to swallow the bitter fruit of defeat. From today onwards, the position of patriarch is yours. It is of course hasty and irresponsible to decide the ownership of the patriarch by a single duel. But Ban will not break his promise. When the other Uchiha people rushed to the battlefield where the two were fighting, they heard Ban's words of willingness to hand over the patriarch's throne. The crowd was shocked. Amazing. Obviously, he was just an unknown teenager, but today he suddenly showed his unique strength, and even Uchiha Ban, who stood in the ninja world to subvert, was not his opponent. So, the hearts of the people were like drums, and a creepy possibility came to mind. Could he even knock down the pillars? This young and handsome teenager may really be able to lead the whole Uchiha to a new glory. When they thought of this, the crowd was thrilled. Uchiha, who has been crushed by the Senju clan for many years, may become the strongest family in the world. I can't agree with that. At the same time as everyone's hearts were stirring, Senna stood up with a gloomy face. The position of patriarch is as heavy as Mount Tai, and you are a young man, and you are not qualified to take on this heavy responsibility. Even if you want to be the patriarch, you should wait another 10 years. Enough, Senna. The person who spoke was a spot that had just been knocked down. Since you have made an agreement, you must abide by it, so why should the person who breaks the contract that will lead Zijibwa? And he looked around the entire battlefield and found that the clans were all vaguely standing on the side of Aoji, and he couldn't help but show a bitter smile. Only now have I discovered that those who cling to past grievances know me. Maybe you're right. Ban looked directly into Aoji's eyes. In the past, I was so arrogant that I never found that everyone was tired of fighting, so I would lose people's hearts. But I must remind you that peace is sometimes more deadly than war. I can understand your feelings. Aoji nodded. I can also assure you that the Uchiha clan will flourish in my hands. Then I wish you what you want. Ban didn't say much more and turned to leave. Are you going to leave Uchiha? That's right, because I don't want to be subordinate to you yet. Ban stopped and coldly looked back. I will travel, cultivate, and become stronger. Maybe in the future we will fight again. At that time, winning or losing is unknown. I look forward to the day I see you again. Aoji smiled indifferently. And so it was all settled. Senna did not hesitate to follow in the footsteps of her brother, and a few people also wanted to continue to follow Ban, but he refused with a cold face, and only took her brother on a new journey. The power of the Uchiha clan fell into the hands of Aoji in the blink of an eye. He soon pushed forward the process of making peace with the Thousand Hands. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After hearing Uchiha's proposal for peace negotiations, Uchiha immediately expressed his opinion at the clan meeting. Since Ban and Senna have both left Uchiha, now we are fully capable of directly destroying them. Yes. They want to negotiate peace, and they must know that they can't win us. Do it. It's time to take revenge. The other Thousand Hands immediately responded in droves, with a posture of being eager to fight with knives immediately. No, you can't. Pillar Jian said with a straight face, it has always been my long-cherished wish to be able to negotiate peace with Uchiha. Now that we have the opportunity to achieve this, why should we live up to their kindness? And don't underestimate the new patriarch. He can force Ban and Senna away, and his strength is absolutely extraordinary. The current Uchiha may not be as weak as you think. If we really continue to fight, even if we can win the final victory, maybe we will still pay a tragic price. We've shed too much blood. Pillar stood up and made the final decision, let everything end here. I want to accept the peace proposal of the Uchiha clan. Since the head of a clan has made a decision, the others can only show obedience. Senju and Uchiha finally shook hands and made peace. The first ninja village in the ninja world was born in the cooperation of two Hao clans, hospitals, ninja schools, Naruto buildings, commercial streets, residential areas, everything is thriving. The Ape Flying family, the Shimura family, the Oil Girl family, the Old Seong family. Ninja clans of all sizes came to join. As Kiba gradually took shape, the first Naruto candidate was also put on the agenda. Of course, everyone knew that the only people who were qualified to be Naruto were Pillar and Aoji. The next step is to witness an open and secret struggle for power, right? But just when all the major ninja clans were holding their breath, Aoji voluntarily withdrew from the battle for the position of Naruto. This surprised everyone, including Uzuma. Although Uchiha and Senju have united, the previous grievances are still there, and if we compete for Naruto's position, we are afraid that there will be another dispute, which is definitely not what I hope to see. Peace is more important than power, and this is the sincerity of our Uchiha clan. Aoji, in front of the leaders of the major ninja clans, very sincerely extended to the pillars. Hand, I hope that we can let go of everything from the bottom of our hearts and truly contribute to the prosperity of Konoha as our own people. I see. I will not fail you. Pillar was very touched and shook Aoji's hand. The people present were shocked. Deeply moved. The original Naruto is like the founding emperor, not only the supreme leader of the ninja village, but also the supreme honor of founding the ninja village. No matter how many Naruto there are in the future, no one will ever be able to overshadow the name of the original Naruto. However, Aoji did not hesitate to give up such power and honor when he was clearly qualified to fight, and such a high-style and bright festival was really admirable. But they don't know. This level of power and honor is not worth mentioning at all in the eyes of Aoji. In his own world, he had been revered as a god, and the whole world was at the service of his will, and if it was only for these meager things, he had not come here to fight for them at all. Moreover, he also knew very well that unless he used other gods, he would not be able to compete between the pillars, and this guy's prestige was too high. But this time Aoji wasn't going to cheat. Like playing a slow-paced nurturing game, he wanted to experience a different kind of gaming fun than before. He must carefully feel and manage everything he has. Unsurprisingly, the noble personality he displayed deeply impressed the hearts of everyone present, including Uchiha, who had always been hostile to Uchiha. Especially Uchiha Yuri, who was standing behind him. There was adoration in her eyes. And admiration. Episode 97 Rescue Vortex Village, Vortex, Mito's Heartbeat. With internal unity, Konoha Hidden Village became stronger and stronger. At this time, other countries also established their own ninja villages. Vortex Village is also one of them. Since the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan were distant relatives, the two ninja villages soon established a friendly relationship. A treaty of alliance was signed. However, due to the jealousy of the sealing technique of the Vortex clan, other ninja villages have successively launched attacks on the Vortex village. Another distress letter. Pillar handed the letter in his hand to Aoji. It seems that they are really afraid of the Vortex clan. Is this the Misty Hidden Village? Aoji naturally took the letter and glanced at the contents of it. According to the description of the village chief of the Vortex Tide, they have already started a war, and the Kirasame village is crowded this time. Then even if we want to rescue, I'm afraid it's too late, right? The Vortex village is located on the plain, easy to attack and difficult to defend, and the Vortex clan is understaffed, so I'm afraid it won't be able to hold out until our reinforcements arrive. You can't sit idly by. Aoji said in a commanding tone, we must not let Kiba's allies chill. Uzumaki nodded in agreement. He had no complaints about the attitude of Aoji's high position. After all, as the Uchiha patriarch who co-founded Kiba, although he gave up the battle for the position of Naruto, Aoji's political status would only be second only to that of the pillars. And with the last act of concession, everyone tacitly agreed that he was the next Naruto candidate. This includes the door room and the column room. I'll arrange for the ninja squad to rescue me now. Pillar also agreed with Aoji's opinion. I'm willing to lead the team. Uzumaki took the initiative to express his position. Not necessarily. Aoji smiled and glanced at the pillars. Why don't we two go for a trip in person, just to move our muscles and bones? You are the core of our village, at least one of them is left to sit in, right? Uzumaki said hurriedly. Rest assured, we'll be back soon. Aoji's palm rested on the shoulder between the pillars, opening the Eternal Kaleidoscope, and then saw that the space was distorted for a while, and the figures of the two people had disappeared out of thin air. This is? Uzumaki saw a lot of knowledge and immediately reacted, time and space ninjutsu. His heart was shocked. As a person who is keen on studying ninjutsu, he knows very well how difficult it is to master time-space ninjutsu compared to the 5 elements escape, but once he masters the mastery of time-space ninjutsu, it is enough to be proud of the entire ninja world. Moreover, the strategic value of Aoji not only being able to move on his own, but also being able to bring others along to transfer such an ability is too great. At this time, Uzumaki couldn't help but feel sincerely grateful. If he had insisted on making enemies with the Uchiha clan, I was afraid that the entire Senju clan would suffer terribly. Fortunately, Aoji is now his own person. With that said, it's time to get a headache for the Zero Hidden Village ninja who is invading Uzumaki village. What the hell is going on here? The misty ninjas who were fighting on the outskirts of Vortex village suddenly found a distorted space, and 2 strange figures suddenly appeared from it, blocking their way to destroy the Vortex clan. It's incredible. Standing on the empty grass, he looked at the misty ninja around him. I didn't expect to be able to reach the battlefield in an instant. Let's hurry up. Aoji looked at the sky over the village of Uzumaki and saw a large field of smoke. It seems that the vanguard troops of the Kirasame village have already entered the village. You block the enemy outside, I will go to the village to support. Good. Pillar Jian nodded without hesitation. At the same time that he slapped his hands and launched Mushua to open the crushing bureau, Aoji also rushed into the Vortex village like an electric light. At this time, the Vortex clan was fighting hard. Although they were born with abundant chakras and mastered very clever sealing techniques, they did not have a particularly strong performance in such a short battle. Coupled with a serious shortage of manpower, they seemed to be almost unable to support it. Damn, these misty ninjas came too fast. As the village chief, Uzumaki Ashina was already injured. Even if Konoha receives the letter and sends troops, it is estimated that it will not be too late to rescue. Are we, the Vortex clan, about to perish in my hands? Patriarch, don't be discouraged, we haven't been defeated yet. After Uzumaki Mito repelled a misty ninja, he stood firmly in front of Ashina. As long as you persist, there will always be hope. Although she herself did not believe this sentence very much. But now, apart from the belief that a miracle will happen, there is really nothing she can do. You don't have to struggle anymore. Although a misty ninja fell, more enemies surrounded him. Now the situation is already obvious. The demise of the Whirlpool clan is today. Is it? A Chinua voice suddenly sounded. Then flashed like an electric light. Before those few misty ninjas realized the danger, they had already fallen like straw. It's safe now. The unusually handsome Aoji appeared in front of Mito and Ashina. and the heroic eyebrows revealed a calm charm. Because, I am here. Konoha's reinforcements? Mito's eyes widened. How did you get so fast? This is my secret art. Aoji smiled warmly. That's why I can be present at the necessary place when necessary. He glanced at Mito without a trace. Worthy of being the future lady of Naruto, there is a dignified and atmospheric beauty, but since she was met by Aoji, it is impossible to give up to the pillars, and although Naruto's position is insignificant, the woman is different. Then it's time to perform. Aoji's eyes shifted to look at the other Kirito who had re-encircled him. These people were originally killing in the village, but now they obviously found that there were masters here, so they wanted to win by numerical superiority. But the number of people is meaningless in front of Aoji. However, this time, he did not directly drive the Gundam, but took out the engraved bitter nothing, and then used the Flying Thunder God technique to show some operations, reaping the lives of the mist ninjas between the electric light and flint. His movements are neat and clean, as if he were finishing an art. A fine art. When the Kirito ninjas who repelled the periphery of the pillar entered, they found that Aoji had also eliminated all enemies, and the two accepted the sincere thanks of the Vortex clan together. Without you, there would be no future for the Vortex clan. Ashina excitedly took Pillar and Aoji's hands. You've passed the prize. The Pillar scratched his head very thickly. From time to time, his eyes turned to Mito. Although he had never thought of starting a family before, after seeing this beautiful and dignified woman, he suddenly found that he was moved. But with a simple personality, he did not notice that Mito's eyes were always swirling around Aoji. Episode 98, Heartwarming Boy, Mito determined. What are you going to do next? Aoji looked squarely at the village chief Ashina. Although the attack of Kirasame village has been repulsed, there will definitely be enemies coming in the future. This time we received a letter of help in time, and the next time we may not be able to catch up. I'm also worried about that. Ashina sighed deeply. We obviously don't want to be enemies with people, but they won't let us go, hey. Or will you move to Konoha? Pillar said enthusiastically, we have signed an agreement with the Fire Nation and obtained a large area of land, and many ninjas have joined us, and they will definitely welcome the Vortex clan. This? Ashina suddenly showed a look of embarrassment. He knew that the proposal between the pillars was a good idea, and it would indeed avoid the overthrow of the Vortex clan. However, after all, Uzumaki village is an independent ninja village, and if it is merged into Kiba in this way, it is inevitable that many people will be psychologically difficult to accept. Or shall we compromise? Aoji saw Ashina's thoughts and took the initiative to say, the Vortex clan does not necessarily have to merge into Kiba. You may wish to move the village around Kiba first, so that you can take care of each other. This should be the best thing to do. Ashina pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. He also saw that the current Vortex village really couldn't be defended. If you stay here and don't move your nest, sooner or later you will be killed in an attack. Even if the wooden leaf can save them many times. But as long as there is a bad pool, then the whole Whirlpool family is finished. Ashina did not dare to take such a huge risk. Now that you've made your decision, let's do your best. Aoji said crisply, Naruto and I will go one step ahead and go back to the village to settle the land and houses, so that when you arrive at Kiba, you can move in directly. Or I'll stay and escort them. Pillar coughed dryly twice. There are no defensive facilities on the way to the migration. Once attacked by other ninja villages, I am afraid that some people will die needlessly, so it is better for me to deter those little ones. Huh? Are you going to stay? Aoji immediately sensed the thoughts of the pillars. This goods are looking for an opportunity to get close to Mito. I didn't expect that this ironwood was actually enlightened. I'm afraid this is inappropriate. Aoji smiled and shook his head. You're the head of our village, and when you set out, I had already promised Uzumaki that I would send you back as soon as possible, and you wouldn't let me break my word, would you? I'm not worried about the safety of my allies. The pillar argued weakly. Then let me stay. Aoji said, first of all, as Naruto, you need to decide on the big things in the village, and second, although I believe in your strength, if you are alone, there will inevitably be some places that cannot be taken care of. But I'm different, I know space-time ninjutsu. If there's an emergency on the road, I'll be able to bring you and your fate right away. So even if I was left alone. Aoji smiled and patted the shoulder between the pillars, but from the perspective of combat strength, it means that all of our Konoha masters have stayed, which is called foolproof. That. A tangled face, between the columns. Personally, he very much hoped that the person who stayed behind was himself, But he couldn't find a reason to refute Aoji's words, and he couldn't speak his mind out of his own mind, so he could only nod helplessly, then listen to you. Aoji smiled for a moment, and then launched the divine power to bring the pillar back to the wooden leaf. It doesn't matter, there will be a chance later. When Aoji disappeared from Naruto's office again, Pillar secretly cheered himself up in his heart. Don't rush into it. After the Whirlpool family moves to the vicinity of the wooden leaves, there is still a lot of time to play. Thinking of this, the Pillar immediately perked up and threw himself into the construction of the village and the preparations for the relocation of the Whirlpool family. At this time, Aoji had returned to the village of Izumio. Ashina packed his bags with his clan and immediately embarked on a journey with Aoji, since many of the clans in the ninja village were not ninjas, so the speed of the march would certainly not be too fast. On the way, he was ambushed several times by other ninja villages. With Aoji's care, the Vortex clan suffered almost no casualties and reached Kiba very smoothly. Aoji and Mito gradually became acquainted. Mito knew his name and knew that he was the current Uchiha patriarch, and he couldn't help but admire him. She had heard some of his deeds. The Uchiha clan is a famous clan in the entire ninja world, except for the Thousand Hands. No one can compete for glory, especially the original patriarch Uchiha Ban, who is a strong person standing at the peak of the ninja world. But such a strong man was still defeated at the hands of the young Aoji. His strength is obviously incomparably strong. Mito also felt this deeply in the process of repelling the attack of Kirasame village, when he suddenly appeared like a god, confident and calm, giving her an unparalleled sense of security in the crisis. In later contacts, she also felt more and more that Qingtong was different. He is handsome but not narcissistic, powerful but not proud, obviously as the second in command of the strongest ninja village, he can talk and laugh with a commoner in the whirlpool, although he still looks like a teenager, but there is a kind of calm like washing away lead. As time went on, Mito couldn't help but want to get close to him. She watched him, observed him. His every move could always inadvertently draw her sight. Just like at this moment. If I guessed correctly, it's a colony arranged between the columns. Aoji looked at a large number of empty houses in the distance, and revealed a kind smile to Ashina next to him. From now on, our two ninja villages will really be like a family. That's nature. Ashina touched his beard, smiled, and nodded. Look over there. Aoji held out his finger to another settlement on the edge of Kiba. This is our Uchiha clan, and you and Miss Mito can come over as guests whenever you have time. Oh? Do you also live in that neighborhood? Ashina was slightly surprised, given Uchiha's position in Kiba, who had always thought they would live in the central area. This is what I asked for. Aoji revealed a clean smile. The closer I get to the center, the easier it is to get caught up in the whirlpool, and the more secluded places can make me feel at peace of mind, and the more calm I can get between the advance and the retreat. You have great wisdom. Ashina looked very impressed. But he didn't quite understand what Aoji meant. But Mito understood. Looking at the teenager who was thinking about the long term in front of her, her eyes lit up with a different color. I also made a decision to do. Episode 99 The Grand Wedding, Uchiha Yuri's Heart. Since the Whirlpool family settled in the suburbs of Konoha, the Pillar has often taken time out of work to visit. His intention, of course, was to brush his face in front of Mito. In the past, he had no interest in the affairs of men and women, and was bent on fighting for the dream of Ashimura, but after meeting Mito that day, he understood what it was like to fall in love at first sight. But his intention did not impress Mito. Her attention was on Aoji's body. This is a pumpkin cake I made by hand, how do you taste it? Mito opened the food box he was carrying and took out a crispy yellow pastry. The place to speak is at Aoji's house. As the patriarch who ruled the entire Uchiha, Aoji's home was of course very luxurious, and he took a bite of the pastry. It was delicious. Aoji smiled a friendly smile. Miss Mito's craftsmanship is really good. If only it were to suit your heart, later. Mito sniffed his lips a little shyly, but did not avoid his own gaze. I can often make it for you to eat in the future. Her eyes looked at Aoji very seriously. The meaning of the words is also self-evident. Mito not only has a dignified and atmospheric facial features, but also does not twist her personality, and when she realized that she liked Aoji, she began to take the initiative to try to approach him, so she took the trouble to learn the skills of making pastries. It's my pleasure. In the face of Mito's strong hints, Aoji responded positively. The distance between the two people has since become closer and closer. Mito gradually became a frequent visitor to the Uchiha clan, and the Uchiha clan became aware of her attitude towards Aoji. Since Aoji brings peace and stability to the family, you never puts up the shelf of the patriarch. So I have always been deeply loved. Therefore, the clans also became fond of Mito and Uzuma, especially her beautiful and dignified, and the atmosphere of the person, which made them feel that they were the right patriarch's wife, and the two people were simply golden children and jade girls. Although Aoji seems to be younger than Mito. But in their opinion, this is not a problem at all. Of the entire Uchiha clan, the only person who was dissatisfied with this was Yuri. Because she also likes Aoji. Due to the natural shyness of girls, she has not been embarrassed to take the initiative, but she did not expect that such an opponent suddenly appeared, and there was a kind of bitterness and frustration of being snatched by the horizontal knife in an instant. This mood is more or less the same as between the columns. By this time, he had discovered that Mito was lukewarm to him, and had heard that she always took the initiative to find Aoji, and deeply realized that he would be a defeated dog, and this premonition was soon ruthlessly verified. 2 months later, news of Duntom's engagement with Mito arrived. On that day, the columns were very painful. He was distracted, did not eat for a day and a night, and returned home to sleep in the dark. He could even hear his own heart break. But the next day, he decided to abandon his intentions, and although he fell deeply in love with Mito, he also regarded Aoji as his brother. These two men came together willingly, and he felt that he should give them sincere blessings, instead of dark jealousy and vengeance. But Yuri did not have the strong heart of the pillars, and could hardly accept the facts he had heard, so that he stopped Mito on the small bridge with a cold look, but somehow he could not say a word. Because whatever she said would only make her look more like a poor dog. I can understand your feelings. The first person to speak was Mito. Actually, I already saw that you also like Aoji, and I think you have a good chance. After all, in a way, I think you are more beautiful than me. If I were a man, I would probably have a crush on you. It's a pity you're too reserved. Mito said leisurely. In any case, we have to admit that Aoji is a very good person who is easy for women to like, and if he does not dare to take the initiative, then he is likely to be robbed by others. Is this your declaration of victory? Shiri said bitterly. Almost. Mito nodded gracefully and gracefully rubbed shoulders with Shiryu. Although you may think that I stole Aoji, I will not feel guilty, because my love for him will only be deeper than yours. So, I can be braver and more proactive than you. So, my victory is deserved. That's right. Mito suddenly stopped and turned back to reveal a gentle smile. My wedding with Aoji will be held on the 7th day of May, and if you are willing to appreciate your face, Aoji will be very happy. After all, he has always admired you. Shiri's body trembled uncontrollably. I'll go. She spoke every word slowly, as if she had exhausted all her strength. Her mood at the moment was very complicated. There is remorse, but also unwilling, but also has a heartfelt admiration for Mito. This woman is obviously very suitable to be a housewife. This is especially evident on wedding day. Mito wears a grand dress, and the whole person exudes a noble temperament and looks very good as the groom's Aoji. Among the guests present, in addition to the two brothers between the pillar and the hatch, the entire Kiba had a head and a face, and the witness was also the patriarch of the Uzumaki clan, and Ashina, who had a good personal relationship with Aoji. It was, of course, a very decent and grand wedding. Because Aoji was easygoing and had a great reputation, everyone sincerely congratulated him, and only a very few people had some unspeakable concerns. Uchiha's power is just like the sun in the sky, and now it is walking with the Vortex family. Even if Aoji has always shown no interest in power, the energy he possesses is simply amazing. Especially if he is also seen as a right and left arm between the columns. No one knew that Pillar was in immense pain in his heart, watching the woman he admired throw herself into the arms of others, especially the thought that tonight she would be completely possessed by Aoji. He had a heartache that went deep into the bone marrow. But despite his unwillingness, such pain, he still decided to let go of the obsession in his heart. Jili is different. Looking at the happy appearance of Aoji and Mito, the strong reluctance made her heart different. She remembered that conversation on the bridge. Am I not brave enough? If you say that love is deep, you can become active. Then our competition has only just begun. Episode 100 The Passage of Time, The Growing Princess Tsunade. The next morning, Aoji got up contentedly and got dressed. Mito's dedication made him very satisfied. Although I have enjoyed all kinds of women and experienced all kinds of excitement in the past few hundred years, it is still very fun to possess a woman like Mito. Of course, Zility cannot be left alone. Although he has the bondage of marriage, this is not a problem for Aoji, and Yuri is more proactive than expected, like a moth to a fire, burning with fierce love for him. As a result, it didn't take much time for Aoji to take possession of Yuri. Took away her beautiful first time. After all, Mito is a delicate woman, and it didn't take long to discover the relationship between the two. Of course, she wouldn't welcome Shiri into the house. Aoji did not try to manipulate Mito's mind, so she would never build a harmonious harem with Shiryu like Yuri. But she didn't react particularly aggressively. Mito only firmly consolidated his identity as Uchiha's mother, restrained Aoji from returning home on time, avoided talking about the existence of Shiryu, and neither accepted nor asked Aoji to sever ties with the other party. Of course, she would never allow Zhili to enter Qingtong's house for any reason. Shiryu chose to accept this. Of course, she knew that her behavior was very despicable, and it was natural to arouse Mito's hatred, but she really couldn't give up her love for Aoji, so she would rather abandon everything and become Aoji's underground lover. The only thing that comforts Shiryu is that although she does not get a name, she still has the love of Aoji. She could feel that he was caring for himself as if he were a treasure. This made her no longer regret the decision she had made. After enjoying the blessings of the Chi people, Aoji's life gradually returned to calm. He established various departments between the auxiliary pillars, perfected the various systems of Kiba, and when everything was on the right track, he chose to retire. Although he was still the patriarch of Uchiha, he rarely paid attention to foreign affairs. He used to be obsessed with power, just to use it as a foundation to ensure his own security and achieve his ambitions, but now he has the invincible power of the world. For the past few hundred years, while having fun. In order to pass the time, he also continued to learn and develop various ninjutsu, and now he is a more comprehensive and advanced ninjutsu expert than Uzuma and Mayo. In terms of strength, the heyday of the pillar and the spot are not his opponents. Plus other gods that can already be used frequently. As long as Aoji is willing, he can get everything in this world at any time, and no one can pose a threat to him, so he is no longer obsessed with Game of Thrones. Now he just wants to play a slow-paced nurturing game. Almost 2 years later, when Pillar got married. He also married a member of the Vortex clan, who looked ordinary, but had a virtuous personality. Aoji and Mito attend the wedding together. On the same day, Ban and Senna, who had not been seen for a long time, also appeared, because the Pillar had been writing to him all these years, imploring him to return to Konoha to build a home together, and this sincerity finally touched Ban. Or maybe the days of wandering alone are too lonely. But anyway, the spot is back. At this moment, the power of the wooden leaf finally reached its peak and became the deserved giant snow of the entire ninja world. Years later. There was a child between the pillars, and the child had a child again. It's a girl. Let's call it Tsunade Hand, and she will be our Princess Konoha from now on. Aoji held the swaddled baby with a kind smile on his lips. Although he was inserted by himself, the bloodline changed dramatically. But Tsunade was born into this world. As the little princess grew up, the Haujia, the founding period of the village, gradually withered, and the gradually aging pillars and spots both left this world, although with their vitality, they could have lived longer. Under the remark of Aoji, Uzuma inherits the throne of Naruto. Then came the first ninja war. At this time Aoji was already in a semi-reclusive state, so he was only asked to stay at Kiba base camp. However, after the whole war was fought, no ninja village could hit Kiba, so he actually did not participate in the war, but many of Uchiha's young people fought bloody battles and established a lot of merit. Therefore, no one can say Uchiha's gossip. As time went on, Mito and Yuri passed away, and although Aoji did not interfere with their longevity, he tried to make them as happy as possible to complete their lives. Later, he personally served as the instructor of the trio of Tsunade Hands. Under his tutelage, Tsunade gradually evolved from a little girl who had just left ninja school to an excellent female ninja who could stand on her own. At this time it is the 37th year after the establishment of the wooden leaf. But Aoji's appearance is still the same as before, a handsome teenager with red lips and white teeth. Of course, since he had been reclusive for many years and had deliberately reduced his influence, few people knew him except for the first group of companions who established the ninja village. The very few people who still kept in touch with him also knew that he had the secret of maintaining youth. No one finds it difficult to understand. However, after all, Tsunade was a young girl with a spring in her heart, although she knew that the generations of the people in front of her were extremely high, but every time she saw his handsome face, heard his gentle words, and accepted his hand-in-hand teaching, there was always an inexplicable throbbing in her heart. But she hadn't had time to clean up her mood yet. The second ninja war broke out again. During the alliance negotiations with Lei Ying, he was assassinated by the Golden Horn and Silver Horn brothers. Both were killed. When the guards returned, he proposed that his last words were for Sarahito to inherit Naruto's position, but this was opposed by Aoji. Due to Aoji's years of covert management, Uchiha has a huge influence in Konoha, and although he himself has long been hidden behind the scenes, he has a political position that even has to retreat a foot from the Uchiha. As a result, the ape was forced to voluntarily give up Naruto's position. The mirror of the Uchiha family became the third generation of Naruto. After completing the internal integration of Kiba, Aoji's eyes turned to the battlefield outside the village. It's time to end this war. Aoji stood in front of the gate of the village for a long time, followed by 3 excellent disciples. Let's teach those enemies a bloody lesson.